Shalom, y'all. I thought I'd let y'all know that when you go on the road, you don't necessarily have to leave all of your favorite things behind. Even though I live in this small van, one of the things that I decided I wanted to do again was make kombucha. I didn't do it for the first couple of years I was on the road. Boy, that sure is glaring a lot. But I decided I wanted to do it again, so I picked it back up. I think it was about a year ago, a year or two, I don't remember. And I had given my niece a starter at some point, and so when I was ready to start doing it again, I asked her to kind of rejuvenate hers because she hadn't done it in a while, and see if I could get a start back from her. So I did, and this morning I've been working on getting another batch ready, and I figured out that I needed to thin down the herd on my scobies. A SCOBY is what is called a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. That's SCOBY. That's why it's called SCOBY. So yeah, I needed to thin it down, and so I thought I'd show y'all what I'm doing there, and then also I'll describe a little bit of the making tea process. So here we go. This is my jar. Glare is on that too. And that's what it looks like down in there. Right now I've got a lid on it because I use the lid whenever I'm in travel mode, like if I'm actually moving. Other than that, whenever I'm stationary, I have a cut piece of paper towel and I put that on the top of here with a rubber band. I don't have one of those ready right now, or I would show you. But this is the stuff that I've been thinning down. And this is what scares a lot of people. It looks kind of nasty. Some people will call it kombucha mushroom. And yeah, all this stuff is just excess. When somebody wants to start making it, they need to have one of these. And I mean, like they come off in layers because it makes a new one every single time that you make a new batch. And I can't really pull it apart because I'm holding the camera, but it makes a new one on top of the old one every time in your jar. And so you need one of these, and then you need some of the kombucha juice as starter juice. And then what you do is you make green or black tea, which I made. My counter is a mess, but I made a combination of green and black tea yesterday out in the sun. I just put the water in there and my tea, set it out in the sun. I've got this on here to protect the jar. Something else I use to protect my jars is old socks. So anyway, so that's the tea, and then you also need sugar. So for 1 gallon of tea, you need approximately 1 cup of sugar. And since I don't heat up my tea, I went ahead and heated up my sugar and made a sugary syrup. I poured some water in there and just heated it up and made sugar. Don't be afraid, because the sugar gets eaten up by the kombucha, and by the time of your end product there is very little sugar left over. And so I am not afraid of the sugar in this. I don't use sugar otherwise, except for an occasional sweet here and there, occasional ice cream or something, but for the most part I don't use sugar. So yeah, this is the gross SCOBY here. And look, see, this one that's lighter colored. It's one of the newer ones. I left the newest one in there. But, so, and then as you go down, like this, see this really brown stuff? That was at the bottom. And, like, if you know what apple cider vinegar is, with the mother, this is what people would call the mother in apple cider vinegar, except for in the vinegar, it's a little more loose than this is. This stuff kind of congregates together. But yeah, I'll just be disposing of this. I'll probably let my dog eat a little bit of it. But other than that, I'm going to dispose of it. But I'm going to combine the tea and the sugar water in here along with this stuff, the SCOBY and the starter mixture. And in about a week, my kombucha will be ready to drink. Yay! So you get to see my cluttered counter here, but here we are with the finished product. That's green tea and black tea with, I don't usually use a whole cup of sugar. I probably use about 3/4 of a cup. I would say when you're first starting to make kombucha, you should go strictly by the recipes that they will give you online or from wherever you get your SCOBY from. And one of the reasons some people might be afraid of doing it on the road is because you're supposed to be very, very clean you're supposed to be very, very clean in order to not infect the kombucha. People are afraid of getting mold and stuff like that. I have never, ever gotten mold in my kombucha. And before I mess with my kombucha, I do wash my hands really well, and then I kind of disinfect them with vinegar. Vinegar is much like the kombucha itself, or you could even wash your hands with the kombucha. And I use very clean utensils, stuff like that. You want to make sure not to get any grease into it. So, make sure all your utensils that you use, like say my little pan, but the pan that you use to, like say, boil your water for your tea, or in my case, the pan that I use to melt down the sugar. I make sure that it's nice and clean. The spoon that I stir the tea with, once I get it in there, nice and clean. Just everything is nice and clean. And you can do that even on the road. It might be a little more difficult since, everything's a little more difficult on the road as far as staying clean. But it's all doable. And yeah, I still love my kombucha. One of the things this year, I have thought about going into Canada, and I was going through my mind trying to think of things that I would need to get rid of. One of the things that you're not supposed to bring into Canada is guns. So if you have any guns, you need to get rid of those, or leave them somewhere. I don't know. Bear spray. You can't take bear spray or human spray, whatever that stuff's called. What is that stuff called? I can't think of it right now. What else? I think medicines, unless they're like prescription medicines, unless they're in the original containers and properly marked as to being your prescription. What else? I don't know. Things like that. So anyway, I was thinking about things, if I would need to get anything out of my rig in order to go into Canada, and I thought about my kombucha, and it's like, are they going to let that through? That probably might seem really weird to them, so they would probably confiscate that. So I don't know, if I go into Canada, I might need to be prepared to leave that behind. Something else that I've got is some powdered MSM that a friend gave me for pain and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm really good at taking it. I'll take it for a while, every day, faithfully, and then I start forgetting. Anyway, so that MSM, it's just a white powder. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're probably going to think this is suspicious too. Because they will, I think, from what I've heard, they'll go through your rig and they'll look at things. I think alcohol is another thing. You might be able to take a certain amount of it as long as you claim it. I'm not really sure. Anyway, so that's just a thought about my kombucha. Okay guys, I cleaned up my counter a little bit and thought I'd show you something else. This is one of my wintertime hats, and I use it to protect my jar whenever I'm on the move. And as far as a place to put it, I put it over here in the corner. I don't know if I can lift it. I'll show you that in a second. So here it is in its normal resting place, and then I just took this small bungee in a couple of places and so it's secure on the road. I also, something else that I do sometimes is do a second ferment, and that's where you put juice in with it. Anyway, that's where you put juice in with it and then ferment it again. This is one of my second ferments, and you can go anywhere from 2 or 3 days to a week. The longer you go, the more of the sugar is going to be taken care of and gotten rid of by the kombucha itself. This one, I probably did a second ferment for about a week, and then after that I put it in my fridge, and refrigerating it will tend to slow the fermentation process way, way down. It doesn't completely stop it, but it does slow it down. And so you can use whatever kind of juice you like. I do use 100% juices. I do not like to use like the juice punches and stuff like that. Nope. I use 100% juice. This one I don't like a whole lot. It's actually prune juice, but I thought I would give it a try. And it's okay. It's better than just prune juice by itself, for sure. But most of the time, I like cranberry juice, grape juice, apple juice. Just about any of them that you can think of. Pineapple juice is really, really good. And then again, I was telling you about socks, because I do all of my kombucha in glass. I do not use plastic at all. I'm pretty old school about that. I do know some people who will use plastic to do their kombucha. I don't. I don't like my kombucha to be in anything but glass. So I have glass jars. And so while I'm doing a second ferment, I might have several jars lined up here. And then I've got this bungee cord to go around and see, this is another jar that I'll use sometimes for my second ferment. Anyway, so I've usually got enough in there to where it'll kind of give it support. And if not, then I'll just put other things in there to help hold it in place. And that's how I travel down the road, just having that secured. Alright, I got another one of my jars up here, and this one's just empty. That's what I make my sun tea in. And then after my kombucha is fermented, this is one of the jars that I'll use to put the fermented tea in before I get it drank. And then for my second ferments, that's where I usually use this size bottle. And if I want to do a little bit more than that, then I use this one. So again, here's one of those old socks in use. And yeah, I've been riding around with it safely on some of the worst roads in the world, and haven't had a jar break yet. Doing okay on that. Jazzy brought in a stick along with a bunch of other garbage, that silly girl. I told you that you can feed the kombucha SCOBY to your dog. Chickens also like it. It's like a prebiotic or a postbiotic. I don't remember which. But yeah, I gave Jazzy a little piece, and she's definitely looking for more. So I'm going to give her some more. Go, off. Jazzy, sit. No, I don't want the donkey. Jazzy, drop it. Drop it. That's a good girl. So she really likes it. So it's a good thing to train with whenever I'm giving her a little bit. Back, off, back. Back. Good. Okay, good sit. Good girl. Speak quiet. Speak quiet. Yes, good girl. Speak quiet. Yes, good girl. Ugh. That was a real stringy one. I hope y'all are all having a great day. I'm having a great day here, and hope to see you down the road. Shalom, y'all.